Welcome to Comic Toy Reviews, and this is going to be a video about my thoughts on the various action figure lines that are out and new stuff we'll be seeing. This video is going to talk about Marvel Legends, Marvel Universe, DC Classics, or as they're called now, DC All-Stars, G.I. Joe, Retaliation, Star Wars. And we'll start with Marvel Legends. This year, we had 3 waves of action figures, and I guess we were kind of lucky in a way that we had to build a figure that was a standard-sized character. On the first 2 waves, we had Terrax and we had Arnim Zola, and you could build a Red Skull Arnim Zola variant. I'm disappointed in the Series 3 in terms of there is no build-a-figure. They're going to use a base part instead, but no build character at all. And next year, on the Return of Marvel Legends, it seems like there'll only be 3 waves a year, not including, let's say, exclusives or things like that. They're going to have a new concept called a mini build-a-figure, meaning it will be like half the size of a regular Marvel Legend character. And I'm not sure, for like $20 or so, the price range of these figures go for in the retail stores, that a mini build-a-figure, I mean, really? Back in the old Toy Biz days, they would have pack-ins, and those pack-ins would be like mini figures, you know, in terms of having an extra figure. I guess it's not really cost-wise fitting that you're paying so much money and you're just going to get a really small pot to make an extra action figure. I mean, it's great to get another action figure. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really cool to have that. But it seems just like, I guess, an excuse to save money on plastic. And that the return of the regular-sized Build-A-Figure will be 2 years from now. That's right. So other than Zola and Terrax, all of next year is going to be these mini Build-A-Figures, supposedly. And then they'll return 2 years from now with regular-sized Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures. And the whole Marvel Legends has been kind of a mess in that as soon as they put out Wave 1, a couple of weeks later, they produced Wave 2 in the stores, and then there's a huge long gap until Series 3 is gonna show up, and that has a bunch of repaints or mold reuse. I mean, Deadpool, it's the same action figure from the 2-pack. It's just being reissued. Not all fans will need that, even though the X-Force colors will help, but still it is just essentially a repaint. And the Doctor Doom is nothing more than a repackage from the old Fantastic Four Classics line that they had. So that's another figure that is just a repaint or a reuse. Mystique, it's nice to have a new version of the character, but her classic costume and the character herself was already made by Toy Biz in the Marvel Legends, so that slot is not necessarily a must-buy. You got the variant to Mystique called Danny Moonstar. That's a new mutant. The costume looks very plain, but it's at least on the new character. You also have Iron Man. Okay, that's a good addition because Iron Man, that's a version of the armor that we have not had before, and it is comic book accurate. So it's always good to get an Iron Man that is comic accurate and that you haven't had before. U.S. Agent, I think, is a great figure because that's a figure that I wanted and many other fans wanted for years, and no one ever made a Marvel Legend for. So for me, that's a real standout on this line. Blade, we've not had a comic version of Blade in Marvel Legends. We did have a movie version, so the comic one does look good. And the Punisher is only okay because Toy Biz has already produced great Punisher action figures before. And so fans really don't need that version of the Punisher. So Wave 3 of the Marvel Legends, which doesn't have a Build-A-Figure, half of that wave is either figures people already have in their collection or repaints or things of that nature. And for Hasbro, I think at least it is something they're getting behind. Sales seem to be good, and that it is a line they are supporting. And that goes to the next topic of Marvel Universe. While Hasbro has supported Marvel Legends this year, it's no surprise that Marvel Universe fans have not had a lot of product this year. A lot of stuff has not hit the shelf, and there's been big gaps of space between new figures. It seems that the line this year has been a mess, and I think it was even mentioned at a recent convention that they know there's problems with it this year and that they're getting it back on track. I've noticed on the price tags at the convention, it said retail price tag was like $9.99. And it's funny because the retail price tag used to be $7.99 just last year. And even this year, when I go to the stores, the Marvel Universe figures now are $9.99 or higher, and we're talking retail stores. For that price range of $10 a figure before tax, even for a Marvel Universe fan, that is a lot of money for an action figure of that scale. That's why I usually wait for sales or discount coupons or something where the deal is better than retail. Because even though I'll collect the figures, and especially the ones I like, it really is, when you have increased prices like that, it will maybe make some people who bought the line maybe just pick figures they really like and not get certain figures. Or maybe you don't have to get figures that you already have a previous version of, and the new version you don't need. Things of that nature. The one advantage Marvel Universe has over Marvel Legends is, since they're easier to make new characters and reuse parts, they have a better variety of characters to choose from in terms of building a Marvel display. You have more options of more characters in Marvel Universe than in Marvel Legends, and characters who may never get a Marvel Legend action figure will get a Marvel Universe action figure just because it's easier to make and easier for them to sell. And I think if you were to count all of the Toy Biz years and the Hasbro ones up to now of Marvel Legends, and we're talking individual unique characters, we're not talking, let's say, 5 different Spider-Man figures. We're talking one Spider-Man for one slot and one Captain America for one slot. Iron Man's the exception. As long as he has a comic reference, I think all the armors are good as individual characters. But if you were to count just how many Marvel Legends you have in your collection, all the figures that are unique characters, okay, and you would count all of the Marvel Universe and related lines, characters who are unique characters, I think a good argument could be made that we have more Marvel Universe characters now who are unique figures than we have in all of Marvel Legends in terms of actually being unique figures. So that variety is really good. And I know people, either you collect Marvel Universe or you don't. It seems to be a pretty divided line. But overall, I'm buying it more than I actually thought I would originally. So the quality, it's pretty good. Now, overall, a Marvel Universe figure will not be as detailed in sculpt and things of that nature compared to a Marvel Legend, because when you got a bigger figure, you could add more detail to it. But on its own, if you're not really judging the line, it's a pretty good line. Next, we move to DC Classics, or the new name or something called DC All-Stars. Whatever is going on with the situation with the DC action figures in their 6-inch scale, it seems in the last year to have developed into a mess of a situation. And I'm not sure what exactly happened at the retail level, that they closed down the DC Classics, and then they were going to make DC All-Stars, and Wave 1, the original Wave, they got rid of it, and they made a new Wave 1, and it's not even in stores yet, and it's been quite a while for any DC fans to get any new action figures. And they're going to have something like a subscription level, meaning you have to subscribe online, and then they will ship you one figure a month, and something like that. For me, I'm not a fan of joining any subscription level program. I just don't like the notion of a company just like that having your, let's say, credit card on file, and they're just going to charge you randomly whenever they want, just to get you an action figure. And you really have no say, because maybe they'll send you action figures that you don't want on characters you don't want in your collection, instead of you being able to pick which figures you want. And I guess I just like finding figures in stores rather than just some type of mail subscription. But I wonder what happened at the retail level, that the DC action figure wave has become kind of a mess in the last year for fans of that line. Maybe it's too close to $20 a figure cost, and the bad economy, and maybe the retail stores have picked up on it. Maybe they couldn't sell the figures in stock they already had. Over 2 years later, and my local Target, or even my Toys R Us, has figures that are like 2 or 3 years old that were from the DC Classics, and they're still on the store shelf, and no one's buying it. I think with the DC stuff, even if it's subscription, which I'm not going to join, you could just search eBay or some other online sites if you really want an action figure specifically, and you could just buy it there. I mean, that's what I plan to do. If there's a character that they're making that I like and I can't find it in the store, I'll just get it online. But for DC fans, I could definitely tell that is upsetting in a way, that it seems like this year, even though you got the All-Stars and they got rid of the Connect piece, that just their distribution and things really don't seem certain in that line, or, you know, what is their direction? What is their focus for that line going to be? Are they still committed to that scale? Are they still going to produce high-quality action figures? Or is it just really winding down that whole thing? Kind of an unknown. So just when Hasbro is trying to improve what they're already doing, it seems DC could use some work and improve their action figure line. Next week, talk about G.I. Joe Retaliation. Thankfully, Wave 1, I got all the figures I wanted. What happened with G.I. Joe Retaliation, as you know, is the movie was supposed to be out in June, but it got pushed back until next year. But the stores already had the stock in June, and they released what they had of the first wave. And they were not going to get more supplies from Hasbro. And so the initial stuff got out there, and I was able to get it. I'll have to make reviews on the figures because I haven't yet. But there's quite a few good figures in that line. And next year is when they're going to produce Series 2, 3, 4, and so on. and they have some really good figures planned for that line. It's just kind of odd that the movie got pushed back and things like that happened. Overall, the G.I. Joe is a strong line of action figures, and the one thing that they did do, again, Hasbro, was the line, it seemed like, all messed up in the last year because they had Pursuit of Cobra, then they switched it to Renegades, then they switched it now to Retaliation, and the lines keep switching like that in terms of the name. It makes you wonder, which direction are they going, because they went quite a few different directions in the last year or so. Next, moving on to the Star Wars line. I think the best stuff that they're making is the Star Wars Vintage Collection. All these other lines, I'm not really a big fan of the animated or cartoon look for the characters. I like the figures that are more movie look or real world look that's not a cartoon style or things of that nature. And the quality of the vintage line has overall been good, but I've noticed there have been 3 levels of quality. There's some really great action figures that have great unique sculpts, and just top to bottom the quality is great. And then you have other action figures that are just pretty good in quality, not exactly great but not bad. And then you have a third set of them that are not really good action figures in terms of overall quality. And one thing I don't really like is they'll take an old sculpt from a solo carded figure of years ago, and then they'll just maybe make a little update to it, and then they'll put it on the vintage carded line like it's basically a mold reuse. And when you have a figure that you're using from years ago, it's not going to be as high in quality as a new sculpt and what you could do today. So even though they put it on the vintage carded line, it seems kind of like a cheap way just to put it out there. And is it really at the high level? Of course, with that line, you would think it would be the best quality and only the best quality. So that's my thoughts on some of the lines out this year of action figures. What's yours? Thanks for watching.